watched people realize they are running out of time and that it is running out fast. And almost every single time they say the same sentence. I thought I had more time. And it's rarely dramatic. And it's usually inconvenient when this comes about for them. And the thing is, most of us are thinking the exact same thing. We live like life is long, like we'll start walking next month, like we'll book that checkup when things calm down, like we'll deal with it after this busy season. I have said that, and you have probably said that too. Hey, I'm Robyn. I am a former emergency department nurse and systems nerd, and after watching what happened when later finally arrives, I became obsessed with one question. How do we stop wasting our lives? Because here's what nursing taught me. Life is shorter than we are taught to feel. And moms of older kids, me, I'm a mom with elder teens and even a 20-year-old. The days are long and the years are short. But, and this part matters so much, it's also way more changeable than we were ever taught to believe. This video is not here to scare you. It's here to motivate you. I want to show you what actually moves the needle in the right direction. And I always want you to feel encouraged by the end of my videos, like there's something you can do. And big disclaimer coming up, this is not medical advice. Talk to your doctor. Everyone's situation is different. But if you adopt one habit per week from this video, you will change your trajectory. So let's wrangle this gift and stop wasting our lives. So last week I was in downtown Vancouver and there was a big convention going on, and I saw this man literally finishing crossing the street. I don't know how he made it in time, dressed as a full transformer. He was covered in massive cardboard boxes strapped to his legs like exoskeletons from the dollar store, shuffling, half robot, half regret. But this actually reminded me, this very gait, of people in the emergency department when their legs are super swollen, full of edema. I also had patients who they had huge wounds and like dressings just covering their legs. And this is people who could barely lift their feet, people who desperately wish that they could move when they no longer could because of heart failure, diabetes, immobility, serious wounds. I've seen grown adults cry because they couldn't climb the stairs in their own home and they had to make some serious decisions. Grandparents devastated because they couldn't safely pick up their grandkids. Leg strength matters. Grip strength matters, and balance matters. I'm so passionate about all of this. I just want to shout it from the rooftop. So now was the time. Your ability to stand up to get off of the floor without help, that is independence. And here's the best part. We don't talk about enough. Some of these issues are showing up younger and younger. Type 2 diabetes, obesity, early osteoarthritis, chronic low back pain. Things that used to feel middle-aged and above are now starting to appear in people in their 20s and their 30s. And after age 30, we gradually lose muscle every decade unless we actively train it. And muscle loss, it's not just aesthetic. It affects insulin sensitivity, recovery, mobility, long-term independence. But, and I really want to give you this as a hopeful part, we can do something now. No matter what age you are, again, talk to your doctor and just listen. I come from such an aggressively unsporty family. We have DCD, which stands for developmental coordination disorder. Many of us have it. Coordination, it is not our spiritual gift. We are fine in gross motor skills. They're somewhat lacking. They're not the gift God gave us other gifts. He definitely did not give us coordination. We dropped gym class the second the government of British Columbia allowed us to in grade 10. So if I can learn to lift weights, truly anyone can. And I actually lift 3 to 4 times most weeks. I do cardio. Usually bopping along to Olivia Lawson here on YouTube, but I also go on my exercise bike, and on the days where I don't do exercise like that, I often will walk 10,000 steps a day. 7,000 is my minimum, and I actually do a lot of it while I am working. I have a desk that raises up and I will walk on my walking pad, and it is so easy. And actually, because I want to get the steps in, I take this watch and I stick it in my sock so that I can get those steps. So every week or two, I also do a treadmill run, and the freedom, I just put my music in. Sometimes I'm like listening to like YouTube where the streets have no name, and I'm just like running, and it's the most free feeling. It's like that feeling. I don't know if anybody who has like experienced where like heavy winters, where it's like spring has finally come and you're just like free and you're like, I'm alive, I have legs, and I want to use those legs. They are not just decorative. They're actually not very decorative. And no, you don't have to start big. Talk to your doctor if needed again, but start with like 10 minutes, then 15, just even walking. And you do it for free. You don't need any fancy equipment. Then 20. You can start doing some, light weights. I'm definitely not giving you advice on that because I am not qualified to, but you don't need to be athletic. You just need to be consistent, and don't beat yourself up if you miss a day. Now, I know not everyone can run or lift heavy weights. Some people are managing chronic injury, illness, or disability, but movement, it looks different for everyone, but almost everyone can do something. Even seated movement, even 5 minutes. It's about preserving what you can. So move 30 minutes a day, not perfectly, not intensely, just consistently. So in the hospital, there's something that you might not expect, and that is that protein deficiency is everywhere. Now you might be like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired of hearing about protein, and I get that. But low muscle tone, slow wound healing, frailty in seniors, we called it the tea and toast diet because not a lot of nutrition and protein in there. And I am 100% a tea lover. Middle-aged adults recovering slower than expected. Younger adults with surprisingly low strength. And people in their 30s and 40s who were technically fine, but not resilient. And children not building optimally. And yes, people who were overweight were still undernourished, and that part surprises people. You can have excess calories and still lack the building blocks your body actually needs. Carbs are easy. They're so easy. Everywhere you go, you can just get carbs. We can demolish a basket of bread in under 4 minutes. Bread never asks questions. Bread never judges. But if you ask someone how much protein they had yesterday, and it's maybe yogurt, I don't know, maybe some peanut butter, a granola bar that says 12 grams of protein in large font. Protein is not trendy, it's actually foundational. And the reason why you're seeing it everywhere is because sure, lots of companies want to make money on it, but also because it helps preserve muscles. It's important for every part of your body. It supports immune function. It improves healing. It stabilizes blood sugar. Sure, it might be boring advice, but it works anyway. And another important thing that so many people are missing that I wish more people knew about when I was working in the emergency department, well, and now even, is vegetables. They're not just a garnish. They regulate glucose. Last I heard, and I have not looked at the updated stuff, but it's like 6 to 12 servings of fruit and vegetables a day, and it should be mostly vegetables because vegetables have much less sugar in them. They lower inflammation. They provide fiber and antioxidants, which are so good because antioxidants neutralize free radicals in your body. It supports long-term metabolic health. Now, I used to hate vegetables, so I'm not up here on my soapbox. I also did not ever get a ton of protein until lately. But slowly, I started putting more and more of both in my diet. Vegetables are now my favorite part of every meal. Lunch for me is usually a big salad with chicken or salmon. Heavy on the vegetables. Dinner, absolutely loaded with vegetables. Breakfast is lighter. I used to actually have a cucumber or pepper or something before breakfast, but now I make sure that I put raspberries and some protein in my breakfast. And I personally aim for about 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body weight. Now that also is because I do weightlift, and I'm not bulky. Like I'm not weightlifting here to be all like jacked. So I'm not saying like you need a high amount, but people need, I don't know what the actual recommendations are, so it varies. Go ahead and talk to your doctor, do your own research, but you do want to make sure that you're getting that protein in. And this does not have to mean grass-fed everything, and $9 organic microgreens, eggs, canned tuna, Greek yogurt, beans, frozen vegetables. It's about just creating a structure and not status. And I read this book by the glucose goddess. Was it called Glucose Goddess? I don't remember. But she had said to eat vegetables at the beginning of every meal because the fiber slows down the blood sugar spike, all of the things. So that is when I started doing that. And it was actually quite easy once I did it gradually, because all of these things I'm telling you, all you need to do is just to start, every week being like, okay, I'm going to have a vegetable at the beginning or whenever of my lunch, and then of my dinner or whatever. Now, word to the wise, if you suddenly double your vegetables and your protein, you might bloat. So build up gradually. But again, that's the beauty of doing things, slow. Just take it easy. As we say in Canada, 30 grams of prevention beats a kilo of cure. And let me be clear. Of course, we also do need medications in some circumstances. I am pro that when needed, but let's take control of our health right now by doing a lot of these things. So if you can, strengthen the foundation first. Movement, nutrition, sleep. That's powerful, because prevention is almost always easier than management. So you're going to add protein and vegetables to every meal. Don't subtract, just add. So in addition to the ER, I also worked in an area called endoscopy. So assisting with gastroscopies, bronchoscopies, and colonoscopies. That was really hard to say all of those at once. So if you're wondering what that is, that's stomach, lungs, and colon. Nothing makes you more passionate about fiber like assisting with colonoscopies all day. So you either become passionate about fiber or you become passionate about denial. And I'm not gonna lie, as a person who worked in the hospital for quite a while, I worked with many nurses and some doctors who smoked. So we all are still human. But we also saw colon cancer daily in endoscopy. And one of the most powerful protective factors to prevent that is fiber. Higher fiber intake is associated with lower colon cancer risk, lower cholesterol, which in this house, I don't know if I mentioned, but my husband has higher cholesterol right now, and it even is like a genetic, which is even worse. So we are definitely pushing the fiber right now. Also, reduce risk of type 2 diabetes, improve gut microbiome diversity, better weight regulation. Most adults actually are eating half or less of their recommended intake. Fiber feeds beneficial gut bacteria. It slows down glucose absorption, which helps huge amounts of body processes. It slows your blood sugar rise after eating. It improves satiety, and it can help with weight loss. Plus, it lowers inflammation, which is so wonderful. Your colon would like a word with you about your fiber. So I get mine from my morning raspberries, as I mentioned. I also put chia seeds in it. What I do is I put milk in, I put in half a cup of raspberries, I put in a scoop of these chia seeds, and this stuff, which is Daily Cleanse. I'll link all of this below. I don't know if this is just Canadian. It's a Canadian family business, but they might sell it in the States. But this, and it's a mix of psyllium, flax, pumpkin, and chia. So that is a great way. And one scoop of this, and it actually tastes really good, is 7 grams of fiber, which is really good. The other things I eat throughout the day is those salads I mentioned. I like to throw on some kimchi for also good microbiome reasons, vegetables, beans, and I make that thing, that little box right there, that's a grain mill. Again, you don't need to go all out like me, but I'm on a mission with this whole cholesterol thing in our house. And I grind my flour and make bread, and it's way higher in nutrients, but also in fiber. So future you wants more fiber. I promise you that. So you want to aim for 25 to 35 grams per day of fiber from your food. Now I want to bring up something that is very important. This one matters huge, and I cannot tell you how many times someone would come into the emergency department. I also worked in an urgent care, and people would say, I felt fine. Fine is not a medical diagnosis. I thought it was just stress. I was going to book an appointment. We actually had a woman come in who was in her 30s, and she went septic, meaning her blood got infected from a UTI that turned into a kidney infection because she let it go too long. And it's because she was busy. She has kids, she has work, she has life, too busy to get checked. Now, she was not careless, she was busy, and that is what made it dangerous. She was so sick, and she was admitted for days. And this is where I circle back to stress. So often it was not ignorance, it was busyness. We normalize running on fumes. And the thing is, a lot of people would come in because they had this pain that would not go away. And we'd say, like, do you have a family doctor? No. Now, where I live, I will get into that in a minute. That's not exactly unusual. But when was the last time you saw a doctor? Maybe 20 years ago. That's not good because you just need somebody managing you, just sort of like getting you in there for that colonoscopy when you're over a certain age, or mammograms or whatever. Actually, where I live, you can self-refer for mammograms. But the problem is, a lot of people, they're afraid to go, that they're afraid they're going to find out something bad. But if you go in earlier, you're preventing things. Going to the doctor is not what makes you sick. Not going is what lets things get out of control. We normalize ignoring symptoms. We normalize that I will deal with it later. Screening catches things early, and you would not ignore a strange noise in your car for 5 years. Well, maybe you would, but you shouldn't. Your body deserves more respect than your vehicle. And this might sound easier than it is, but just pursue screening clinics even, or community options. Virtual care is an option where I am. And I know between all of the different countries, there are some differences, but don't wait for something to explode. And the UTI I mentioned, most don't become life-threatening, but ignoring symptoms repeatedly, it can allow small issues to become big ones. I know access to family doctors is incredibly difficult right now. I live in a GP desert on Vancouver Island, and for some reason, we don't have enough GPs here, even though this is a spot. It's like the warmest spot in Canada. For some reason, people don't want to move here to be a doctor. I don't know. I'm not pretending it's that simple, but do not let system frustration stop you from pursuing screening options whenever possible. Fight for yourself. Here, there's a wait list you can get on. Like, do your best. You need someone keeping an eye on things. So the takeaway is get a checkup. Prevention is easier than recovery. When the clocks change in the spring, something predictable happens. Do you know how many times I said predictable? Okay, anyway, we love the extra light. Our hearts are less thrilled with it. They don't like the time change. There are actually more heart attacks and more accidents the week after the time change, because even small sleep disruptions increase cardiovascular strain and impair reaction time. Chronic sleep deprivation, it increases the risk of heart disease, obesity, diabetes, cognitive decline, and mood disorders. Did you know that when you sleep, there are things going on in your brain, cells, there's cleanup processes to clean things up? Now, we are the first generation, I guess broadly, generations, that voluntarily scroll ourselves into exhaustion. Now, if you're proud of functioning on 5 hours of sleep, I promise you, your body is not impressed, and it is not going to be giving you an award. That's not grit, that is sleep deprivation. Sleep is biological maintenance. Try 2 of these. Consistent sleep-wake time. So that means even on weekends, you're getting up pretty close to the same time. Morning sunlight within 30 minutes. Now, I live, again, on Vancouver Island, where it's very cloudy. So morning diffused light through clouds, still very good within 30 minutes. You just need to stand out there longer. You also want to stop caffeine 8 hours before bed. Sleep in a cool, dark bedroom, and a 30-minute wind down without screens. Now, I highly recommend Matthew Walker's book, Why We Sleep. I will link it below. It is so good. It explains so much. I have a family member who was suffering from insomnia, actually a couple, and I've recommended that book, and it has just been so valuable. And I loved reading it. I learned so much, such amazing info. So you're going to want to protect between 7 to 9 hours of sleep minimum, like your life depends on it, because it does. So let's talk about stress, baby. Stress is not just a feeling. Oh no. It is so much more than that. It raises blood pressure. It increases inflammation. It elevates your blood sugar, weakens immunity. And I have seen stress trigger chest pain in people with no blocked arteries. Our bodies use stress to signal danger. Your inbox is not a predator. Your nervous system will disagree with you because it now sees those lifestyle things as stress. Work, commitments, all of it. Chronic stress, it keeps cortisol levels elevated, which affects fat distribution, sleep, mood, long-term disease risk. I've talked about this many times on this channel. And again, so often the issue wasn't laziness, it was busyness. We are too busy to move, and I am so guilty of that. And that is partially why I love my walking pad, which I will also link below. Too busy to sleep, too busy to see a doctor. We can't eliminate stress, but we can lower baseline stress with breathing, time outside, prayer, touching moss, strength training, decluttering. Yes, decluttering. I'm going to get into that in a minute. And I'm not sharing all of this to scare you. I'm sharing it because this is your opportunity to take these things, small habits, see how they compound, both good and for harm. And we've talked about food and water, but what about shelter? I have mentioned this so many times on this channel. Your home is your shelter, and it matters. So make sure you're surrounding yourself with a good environment. And of course, I have got to mention clutter. You knew it was coming. Clutter increases cognitive load. It increases stress. By taking the time to get rid of the stuff that is no longer serving you, you are helping yourself. You are helping your brain. Also, there might be more dust in your house, so taking care of that because it can worsen allergies and asthma. Kitchen hygiene and the rest of your house can affect infections. Chaos costs energy. Less stuff, it's not aesthetic minimalism, it's actually nervous system support. When your home is calm and tidy, your body is calmer. Do not try to do all of this at once. That is how nothing sticks. One habit per week. So reduce one friction point in your home this week. Maybe declutter your entryway or your kitchen counters. Do some dusting, one drawer, one pile, whichever. Not everything is preventable. I've seen young, healthy people blindsided, which makes taking care of the parts we can control even more important. That is what the ED taught me. You don't need a diagnosis to start caring about your life. I cannot tell you this enough. It is so much shorter than we are taught to feel, but it is so more changeable than we were taught to believe. One habit per week, just move. Add some protein and vegetables, increase your fiber, get screened, sleep, lower stress, calm your environment. You have a body that can move today. You have time today. Don't waste it. Make the time. Not in fear, not in perfectionism, not in when things slow down, in small, consistent, hopeful action. This life is such a gift. Treat it like one. Run on the treadmill or walk on the treadmill listening to YouTube's Where the Street Have No Name. Now, on this little corner of the internet, we talk about how to live on purpose. My time in nursing showed me something simple. We have more influence over our future than we think. So now I focus on habits, homes, and systems that help us stay alive and actually feel alive. So if you want to live like you actually mean it, please subscribe. Strong legs, open windows, and good tea. I hope something great happens for you today. Remember, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.